Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. I was sitting around this morning thinking of a podcast topic, and then I returned a phone call to a charming lady named Meg and got to speak to her sons Zeke and Reese. Reese is a competitive golfer, and Zeke is a 10-year-old. That's all I know about him. But we had a lovely conversation with Meg, and she inspired me to do a podcast about process. So the first thing we want to talk about is the process of improvement. But first, I want to thank our partners. You know them, you love them. Walther is, of course, the title sponsor of the program. That looks like more red to law. Let's try that this way. Walther is the title sponsor of the podcast and of AndersonShooting.com. And maybe you guys saw on the social media my first ever 4 alphas in under a second at 4 yards. I was able to shoot 4 alphas at 4 yards in 0.97 seconds, including, I believe, a 47 first shot. Fastest first shot of my entire shooting career. Previous best was like a 52, 53. And by really listening for the start tone, I was able to do, I believe it was a 47. Best first shot of my entire life. The interesting thing, there's a couple of interesting things about this gun. The grip surface of the new steel frame PDP is really, really nice. It makes the grip a little rounder than the polymer PDP. The polymer PDP already fits the hand great. For whatever reason, this extra grip surface makes it slightly rounder, and it just feels really, really nice. I'm sure that contributed. Also, the other really nice thing about this gun, in addition to the extra weight, is the trigger. The best, and I mean the best stock trigger I have ever felt on a stock firearm. I'll go ahead and show you. There's the trigger, and there's a little bit of take up. Nice clean break. Very minimal reset. If you can see that, I'll show you this way. Oh, that doesn't help. You have to just see it this way. People on YouTube are seeing this. The rest of you will just have to listen to the clicking noises. But a little bit of take up. Very nice, crisp, clean break there at the end. And it also stays active after the striker fires, which is phenomenal for multiple shot dry fire. On Glocks and other types of striker fired guns, the trigger will be dead after the first shot if you don't lock the slide slightly back. But this trigger stays nice and springy after the striker falls, so your multiple shot dry fire is really easy to do. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal gun. It's been a long time since I picked up a gun and just felt immediately at home with it. It's just really, really great. So that's Walther, the new steel frame PDP. Awesome gun. Targets USA, as you know, manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. CR Speed makes the finest gun handling gadgetry you can wrap around your waist or anywhere else. Hunter's HD Gold is the only eyewear that I wear, and you can see that I are wearing it right now. The AMG-lab.com Commanderson timer continues to turn heads and blow minds by putting the time into the tablet. OutdoorDynamics.net remanufactures the finest competition ammunition you can dispense from a Freedom Seed dispenser, and I dispensed numerous of those Freedom Seeds with the mighty PDP steel frame. 100% reliable, zero malfunctions of any kind. I wasn't real sure about using competition ammo right out of the box. Occasionally, guns will need to be broken in with some hotter stuff, not this one. This thing ran like a top with Outdoor Dynamics Anderson's right out of the box, so beautifully done there. And of course, shootingsportsinnovations.com is a lot to type because there is a lot to see when you finally get done typing that in. So I want to look at process from 2 different perspectives. I want to look at first the process of improvement. Now, everybody has a level of participation in the sport. There's a place that you want to be. And it could be at the very bottom, hey, I just want to have fun. That's great. If you want to have fun, maybe don't look at the scores. right? I mean, if you're truly wanting to have fun, the scores don't matter. But many times, people that say they're in it just to have fun, they go looking at the scores, not so much fun. So, and then the level of participation can go all the way up to, I want to be a national champion. And your level of participation will be in there somewhere. So, what we've got to do is one of two things. Either say, this is the amount of time and money that I'm willing to spend on my hobby, and I'll accept where that takes me. And that's cool. That's not a problem. The other thing you can do is, I want to be a grandmaster, I want to be a national champion, I want to be a world champion, don't care what it takes. Or you could be in between there somewhere. But what you have to understand about the process of improvement is your mental game is always under construction, whether you are there supervising that construction or not. And if you're going to do the work to get better, which I highly recommend that you do, it is extremely important that you monitor and control the imprints to your self-image while you are doing this. If the majority of your practice is stressful and frustrating, then you'll be stressed and frustrated when you get to the competition. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't work on the things that need work. I'm not saying that, and I've never said that. Oh, Anderson says just give yourself a nice pat on the bottom and be sucking. Well, I never said anything of the sort. When you are practicing things that are difficult, that you're not currently great at, all you have to do is control the imprints to your self-image so that your confidence is growing somehow. If you're working on your strong hand, weak hand, you're not struggling, you're learning. If you're trying to get quicker at something, you're probably not going to shoot great shots during that process, but you are getting quicker, right? So understanding the process of improvement, that means building subconscious skill and controlling the imprints to your self-image, which is the thoughts you have about that process. It makes it so much faster when you control those imprints. Okay, when I went down to shoot 4 shots in under a second, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it or not. Last time I tried it with the PDP polymer, the best I did was 120 for 4 shots. And my theory is that it's a little bit easier with the steel frame PDP because there's less over travel and there's a shorter reset. So I'm pretty sure that either those two things or my confidence in those things allowed me to get that done a little bit quicker than the polymer PDP. That's my theory. But initially, I wasn't sure. And I was 107, I think, after my first mag. And that made me super excited. Super excited. Because if I can do a 107 with about 10 minutes of shooting, there's no reason I can't do a .99. I knew it. I knew it was just a matter of time. And that is me controlling the imprints to my self-image. So what happens there is I don't say, didn't quite make it. I say, I'm so close. What do I need to do to get this 99? Not 107, 108, 112, 103. I had a couple of 103s. You don't focus on those. What you do is say, okay, I am incredibly close. I'm within a tenth of a second of doing this thing. What do I need to do to find a tenth of a second? And the answer in that environment is obviously reaction time. The start tone is 0.3 of a second long. And I made sure to go as soon as I heard anything that sounded like a timer. I had to watch the video a couple of times to make sure I didn't jump it, and I didn't. And I wasn't too worried about it. I just wanted to make sure it didn't look like I jumped it. I just remember going as soon as I heard anything that sounded like a timer. I mean, if there was a bird in Licking County, Ohio that makes an AMG Commander type noise, I would have gone. That's how tuned in I was for the start tone. But I'm managing my imprints to self-image during that process. So it isn't didn't make it, didn't make it, didn't make it, which would make me frustrated and discouraged. Instead, it's I am so close to doing this. And I remember loading the magazine. So the last time, I remember every time I put around in the mag, I'd say 99, 99, 99, 99, 99. So I'm imprinting to my self-image that this is a thing that is going to happen. Now, those of you naysayers, you can't do that without the skill for the task. And we're not saying that, right? What we're saying is I have been dry firing presentation drills. I invented the modern presentation drills. I have been dry firing those at 0.6 for about 20 years. And I've been beating the crap out of it for 20 years. Okay. So I wasn't sure what kind of a first shot would be necessary. I didn't even do the math. I was having so much fun I didn't even care. But I knew that reaction time was the key. And I know I'm perfectly capable of getting the gun out and shooting 60s and 50s. Like I said, my previous best was a 53 or a 52, I think, doing the bill drills. So 49, 47, 52, it's 100% reaction time. But the process of improvement is about building subconscious skill while controlling the imprints to the self-image so that you get access to those skills when the timer goes off. If you go out and train and your imprints are negative, let's say you've never done a first shot in under a second, and you do it, and it's a Charlie. Wow, I did it, but it was a Charlie. This sucks. Or instead, you say, hey, I fired the gun in under a second for the first time ever. Now all I got to do is clean it up a little bit. As opposed to failure, 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 you go back to I am so close to getting this right. What do I need to do to get this last little bit? So much more exciting than being frustrated and disappointed and telling yourself how much you're no good. So the process of improvement is massive reps of subconscious skill with positive imprints. I've told you guys numerous times, negative imprints during training is the killer of competition performance. And my golfer buddy Reese, if you're still listening, hopefully you are. If you're still listening, you need to have positive imprints every time you touch that golf club. Every time you hit a ball, there needs to be some kind of positive imprint. It's tough to do when you're missing. I get it. But the negative imprints during training is the biggest problem in the sport. Well, that and the conscious control of speed. Well, that and under trying and over trying. That's okay. We'll talk about that later. Now, the reason these imprints are so important is that the imprints define the shooter that goes to the match. You're either the shooter who gets it right eventually every time, or you're the shooter that always struggles and always fails and never gets it right. And that's the guy that goes to the match, is the sum total of those imprints. And those imprints are what allows access to subconscious skill. You guys have experienced it. When you've gone to stages and you've loved your stage plan and you had a high degree of confidence in your ability to execute it, that is real time the imprints to your self-image making the shooting easier by giving you access to those subconscious skills because you're not worried about the results. You have the skill, you know it's going to go pretty well, and it usually goes pretty well. And if there's pressure for any reason, all pressure can do is amplify whatever you're thinking about. That's all it can do. So you don't want to try to make it go away. You don't really even need to understand where it comes from. You just need to be ready for it in case it happens and understand that all pressure can do is amplify whatever you are thinking and feeling. And if you can control, or when you learn to control what you're thinking about and what you're feeling, you can change what pressure amplifies. That's why most people, pressure doesn't bother them at work. Pressure makes them better at work. Well, I've done my job for 20 years. Well, that's true, but you have a high degree of confidence that you're going to be able to solve the problem. You may not know how you're going to solve it, or maybe you do if you've done your job a bunch, but people that are great at their jobs, they have a high degree of confidence. There's your dog noise. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a long period of dog noise, so use this time to admire PDP steel on the YouTube. You can see the light slide here. It's also a much prettier gun than the polymer PDP. Very, very nice looking. Very, very cool. Mighty steel frame PDP. So we're right in the middle of Christmas, right in the middle of Christmas season, which means Deliveries are coming all day, every day, which is the reason why the dog is. Yep. I'm so sorry, guys. Before we started doing YouTube, we could use the pause button. There's Gracie taking a photo.